Nikola Tesla sought to provide the world with free, wireless electricity for everybody on Earth.
He was an inventor genius who conceived of things that were way ahead of his time, but are still used today.
Nikola Tesla, the father of physics, was a true unsung hero of his time. Despite being a visionary and a genius inventor, Tesla's contributions were often overlooked in history. But in reality, Tesla was a selfless innovator who dedicated his life to finding ways to harness electricity to benefit humanity for eternity. One of Tesla's greatest achievements was the invention of alternating current, which completely revolutionized the field of electricity and laid the foundation for the modern electric industry. Tesla's brilliance was evident in the countless groundbreaking inventions he created throughout his career, such as pumps, turbines, and speed indicators. Despite his numerous achievements, Tesla's work often faced setbacks due to a lack of consistent financial support, propaganda from rivals, prejudice, and unfortunate life events. These obstacles prevented many of his projects from reaching their full potential, and some even remained unfinished. However, Tesla's legacy lives on, and his lost inventions and papers have recently been uncovered, shedding new light on the incredible mind of this great inventor. In today's video, we will explore some of Tesla's most fascinating lost inventions and delve into the secrets that have been locked away until now. Death ray. Nikola Tesla was a creative genius whose inventions never ceased to amaze the masses, even as he grew senile. Among his most enigmatic and controversial creations was the infamous death ray, a technological solution he believed could end war and reduce it to a mere spectacle of machines. Tesla's strong aversion to war was instilled in him by his father, and he worked tirelessly to find a way to prevent it. In 1931, he shocked the world by announcing that he was about to discover an entirely new energy source, an idea that would come from an entirely new and unsuspected source. However, it wasn't until war once again loomed over Europe in 1934 that Tesla's death ray invention gained public attention. The New York Times ran a front-page headline that read, "Tesla at 78 bears new death beam," announcing his latest creation, a technology that could take down a fleet of 10,000 enemy airplanes from a distance of 250 miles. Tesla believed the death beam could prevent war by providing each nation with an invisible Chinese wall. The concept sparked a great deal of debate and interest, but Tesla needed financial support to create a prototype of his invention. Unfortunately, Tesla's efforts to secure financial aid from JP Morgan and the British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain failed. Interest in Tesla's anti-war weapon eventually petered out when Chamberlain resigned after realizing that Hitler had outwitted him at Munich. In 1937, a war was looming over Europe, and Nikola Tesla was growing frustrated with his inability to generate interest and funding for his peace beam. He decided to take matters into his own hands and sent a detailed technical letter to several Allied nations, including the United States, Canada, England, France, the Soviet Union, and Yugoslavia. The paper, titled "New Art of Projecting Concentrated Non-Dispersive Energy Through Natural Media," provided a technical description of a charged particle beam weapon, and it was the first of its kind. Tesla's proposal was unique because it involved a vacuum chamber with one end open to the atmosphere, and his plan included a one-of-a-kind vacuum seal that he created by directing a high-velocity airstream at the tip of his gun. He also proposed using a large Tesla turbine to perform the necessary pumping action. The Soviet Union was particularly interested in Tesla's idea, and he presented a plan to the Amtorg Trading Corporation, a Soviet arms front in New York City in 1937. 2 years later, in 1939, one stage of the plan was tested in the Soviet Union, and Tesla received a $25,000 check. Tesla believed that his creation would be exclusively defensive and serve as an anti-war tool, with power plants along a nation's coast scanning the skies for enemy aircraft. Unfortunately, the beam's effectiveness was limited to about 200 miles because it was projected in a straight line. However, Tesla also considered using his particle beam for peaceful purposes, including long-distance power transmission without wires and creating artificial aurora borealis by heating a portion of the upper atmosphere. Despite the potential for peaceful applications, Tesla's idea never gained widespread acceptance. His hope for a technological solution to end war still seems remote even today, as his concept was deemed unsustainable by most experts. Nonetheless, his death beam is eerily similar to the charged particle beam weapons developed by the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Was Tesla's idea ahead of its time? Could it still hold potential for peaceful purposes today? These are questions that still spark debate and interest. Wireless energy. Nikola Tesla was always pushing the boundaries of science, and by the end of the 1890s, he was exploring the possibility of transmitting electrical power without wires, specifically to high altitudes where the air was thinner and more conductive. With the help of his friend and patent attorney Leonard E. Curtis and Colonel John Jacob Astor, Tesla relocated to Colorado Springs to start construction on a new experimental station close to Pikes Peak. There, amidst the spectacular electric displays of the Colorado skies, Tesla began his quest to produce electrical effects on the scale of lightning. The laboratory that Tesla constructed was like something out of a sci-fi novel. A structure with a roof that could roll back and an 80-foot Warden Tower with a 142-foot metal mast holding a gigantic copper ball was positioned above it. Tesla and his team started putting together a vast Tesla coil that was specifically designed to send strong electrical impulses into the earth inside the peculiar wooden structure. Each piece of apparatus was thoroughly examined, and Tesla instructed his mechanic to flip the switch open for just a split second. An intriguing blue corona developed in the space around the secondary coil as it started to sparkle and crack. Tesla was content with the result and instructed his mechanic to keep the switch closed until he was told otherwise. Big blue electricity arcs zigzagged up and down the central coil. Over 100-foot-long man-made lightning bolts erupted from the mast atop the station, and Tesla's experiment destroyed the El Paso Electric Company's dynamo, knocking out power to the entire city. The power station manager was furious and insisted that Tesla repair and cover the cost of the damage. Despite the mishap, Tesla remained convinced that if the Earth was indeed a good conductor, he could send virtually lossless power to any location on the planet. His experiments in Colorado Springs laid the foundation for his later work on wireless communication and power transmission, although his dream of wireless energy transmission remains unfulfilled to this day. Tesla's experiment was a testament to his ingenuity and his willingness to take risks and explore new possibilities. Tesla spent 9 months conducting experiments in Colorado Springs, but the outcomes of his work remain unclear despite his meticulous daily journal. One of the unresolved questions is whether he successfully transmitted wireless power at Pikes Peak. Some people claim that he sent a signal strong enough to light up vacuum tubes several miles away, but this could be attributed to the conductive ground characteristics of Colorado Springs. Tesla also attempted to send extra low frequency signals through the region between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere, estimating that the resonant frequency was around 8 Hz. This theory was not taken seriously until the 1950s, when researchers were amazed to discover that this space's resonant frequency was indeed in the 8 Hz range. In his pursuit of wireless power transmission, Tesla targeted the ionosphere, an area 80 kilometers above the Earth. He correctly predicted that this region of the atmosphere would be highly conductive, but he needed the technical means to deliver electrical power to such a great height. One evening, while working, he discovered a repeating signal picked up by his transmitter, and to his amazement, he thought he was receiving a signal from space. Although Tesla was ridiculed for this discovery, it's possible that he was the first to observe radio waves coming from space. Even today, Tesla's work in Colorado Springs remains a mystery. His notes and comments provide no clear indication of how he intended to transmit wireless power, but it's clear that he returned to New York City with confidence that he could achieve his goal. Wardenclyffe Tower. Upon returning to New York from his 9-month experiment in Colorado Springs, Tesla wrote a remarkable article for Century magazine. He detailed an extraordinary method for using an antenna to capture the sun's energy and proposed the possibility of using electrical power to manipulate the weather. In a futuristic vision, Tesla predicted that technological advancements would make war impossible and proposed a global wireless communications network that seemed nearly incomprehensible to most people. But Tesla was a visionary who could not be underestimated. The article drew the attention of J.P. Morgan, one of the most powerful men in the world, who was fascinated by Tesla's ideas. Tesla proposed a world system of wireless communication that could transmit phone messages across oceans, telecast news, music, stock market reports, personal messages, safe military communications, and even pictures to anywhere on Earth. Tesla boldly claimed that when wireless is fully applied, the Earth will be converted into a huge brain capable of response in every one of its parts. Morgan offered Tesla $150,000 to build a power plant and transmission tower, which was far less than what Tesla needed. Nonetheless, Tesla got to work immediately, though his real goal was to carry out a large-scale test of electrical power transmission without wires, which ultimately proved to be a fatal error. Tesla's ambitious project to build a massive tower at Wardenclyffe, located on the Long Island Sound cliffs, began in 1901. The tower, standing at 187 feet high and supporting a 55-ton steel sphere, was a challenging task, but Tesla didn't back down. He even dug a well-liked shaft 120 feet into the ground and drilled 60 iron pipes 30 feet deep to allow currents to flow through them and grab hold of the Earth. However, the project quickly ran out of money as construction progressed. Despite Tesla's pleas, Morgan was hesitant to provide more funding. Then in December 1901, Marconi successfully signalled the letter S from Cornwall, England to Newfoundland, causing Tesla to claim that Marconi had used 17 of his patents to complete the transmission. This caused Morgan to doubt Tesla's claims, and he refused to provide further funds, despite Marconi's cost-effective system. To make matters worse, the stock market crashed and material costs doubled. Despite some remarkable electrical displays in 1905, Tesla and his team were unable to find enough investors to continue the project, leading to its ultimate failure. The media dubbed it Tesla's million-dollar folly, and Tesla suffered a total nervous breakdown, feeling humiliated and defeated. Tesla protested that the project was a simple feat of scientific electrical engineering, only expensive, and blamed the failures on those who doubted him. "It is not a dream," he protested. "It is a simple feat of scientific electrical engineering, only expensive, blind, faint-hearted doubting." Ozone generator. After Morgan withdrew his financial support for Tesla's wireless energy project, Tesla found himself in a state of desperation. His reputation had taken a hit, and he needed to come up with a commercial project quickly to restore his credibility and generate income. "I must put out something commercial without delay," he told Morgan. Turning his attention to another invention, Tesla patented the first portable ozone generator in the United States in 1896. He and other financially strapped scientists formed the Tesla Ozone Company and marketed the devices as a way to purify indoor air, a concern shared by city dwellers at the time. The smoke and pollution caused by burning coal were believed to be the root of many health problems. Tesla's machines emitted ozone, a gas that is harmful when inhaled and has no therapeutic applications. While ozone serves as a shield against the sun's UV light in the upper atmosphere, pumping it into living spaces can be dangerous to health. Today, the FDA classifies ozone as a toxic gas, and ozone generators are only approved for sterilizing water and equipment. Despite the potential health risks, some unscrupulous merchants promote ozone as a cure for diseases like AIDS. Interestingly, Tesla made no mention of ozone in his autobiography, My Inventions. Missing papers. Nikola Tesla's scientific papers after his death in 1943 have been a subject of controversy. He claimed to have perfected a powerful weapon called the death beam before he died during World War II, and the US government was interested in his scientific ideas involving weaponry. Some people feared that Tesla's papers could end up in the hands of the Axis or the Soviets. After Tesla's death, his nephew, Siva Kosanovic, rushed to his hotel room at the Hotel New Yorker. He suspected that someone had already gone through his uncle's belongings. Technical papers and a black notebook with several hundred pages marked government, which he knew his uncle possessed, were missing. The government was keen on preserving Tesla's papers, and the FBI was assigned to investigate the matter. Representatives from the Office of Alien Property seized all of Tesla's belongings from his room at the New Yorker hotel 2 days after his death. To examine the Tesla papers, the Office of Scientific Research and Development contacted Dr. John G. Trump, an electrical engineer with the National Defense Research Committee. After a 3-day inquiry, Dr. Trump concluded that Tesla's work during at least the past 15 years was primarily speculative, philosophical, and promotional in nature. Tesla's work often concerned the wireless transmission of power, but it did not include any workable principles or methods for achieving such results. After World War II, interest in beam weapons experienced a sudden increase. Tesla's papers on particle beam weaponry were delivered to Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, to assess the potential of Tesla's ideas. A well-funded operation named Project Nick was set up under Brigadier General L.C. Craigie's command. But its experiments were never made public, and the project was eventually abandoned. However, the copies of Tesla's papers mysteriously vanished, and their whereabouts remain unknown to this day. Some of Tesla's papers were returned to his nephew, Siva Kosanovic, in 1952 and placed in a museum in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, but access to them was severely limited. Meanwhile, Soviet scientists were granted greater access to Tesla's papers than their Western counterparts, and Soviet Premier Khrushchev's announcement of a new weapon raised concerns about their possible use of Tesla's ideas. In the United States, research on beam weapons continued, and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency launched a top-secret project called Seesaw in 1958 to develop a charged particle beam weapon. The project was eventually abandoned after a decade and $27 million spent, with no knowledge of Tesla's papers among the scientists involved. In the late 1970s, rumors circulated that the Soviet Union had made significant strides in beam weapon technology, and the construction of a sizable facility near the Sino-Soviet border raised alarm in the US defense community. The mystery surrounding Tesla's papers and the ongoing interest in beam weapons has sparked numerous conspiracy theories, but the truth remains elusive. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan made a bold move by announcing the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, in response to a technological surprise. He called for scientists to work on developing ways to make nuclear weapons ineffective, with the hope of ensuring world peace. Despite over 50 years of research and billions of dollars invested, the program is widely regarded as a failure. Even now, there is still no practical means of defense against a nuclear missile attack. While Reagan's initiative may have been a long shot, it's not hard to see why he felt the need to take action. The prospect of a nuclear war is a chilling one, and it's natural to want to do everything possible to prevent it from happening. But finding effective defense strategies has proven to be an elusive goal, and this continues to be a matter of concern today. Meanwhile, there are those who continue to search for the lost papers of Nikola Tesla, hoping to uncover the secrets to his innovative ideas, including the possibility of projecting lethal energy beams through the atmosphere. However, despite years of effort, the missing papers have yet to be found. In 2016, the FBI declassified around 250 pages of Tesla-related documents under the Freedom of Information Act, with 2 more reports following in subsequent years. While this was a significant development, many questions still remained unanswered, and some of Tesla's files are still missing. Perhaps one day we will uncover the secrets of this enigmatic genius and his revolutionary ideas. Let's now focus on some of his other inventions. Nikola Tesla, the famous inventor and scientist, had many groundbreaking ideas that were far ahead of their time. 2 of his most intriguing inventions were a possible earthquake machine and a supersonic electric airship. Tesla patented a steam-powered mechanical oscillator in 1893 that could vibrate at high speeds to generate electricity. He once claimed to have accidentally caused an earthquake while testing this machine in his New York laboratory, with heavy machinery flying around and cracking sounds heard. To avoid detection, Tesla told the police that it was an earthquake, but the incident was never officially confirmed. Tesla's fascination with aviation led him to develop his concept for a supersonic electric airship, which he wrote about in a 1919 issue of Reconstruction magazine. He proposed that the aircraft could travel 8 miles above the Earth's surface at incredible speeds, allowing passengers to travel from New York City to London in only 3 hours. His idea called for the airship to be powered wirelessly by electricity transmitted from ground-based power plants, removing the need for fuel. Tesla believed that the power supply was essentially unlimited, with multiple power plants supplying energy to airships in a similar way to trains running on electrified rails. Although Tesla's supersonic electric airship never became a reality, it remains an intriguing idea that could have transformed air travel as we know it. Nikola Tesla was a brilliant inventor who had a knack for creating cutting-edge technology that was ahead of its time. One of his most impressive inventions was a remote-controlled boat that he unveiled in 1898. At the time, the concept of radio waves and wireless energy transmission was still in its infancy, so Tesla's boat amazed onlookers when they saw it scooting across an indoor pond. Tesla's boat was not only a marvel of engineering, but it was also the first ever device for wireless remote control. Despite the boat's success, Tesla's inventions were often misunderstood. When a New York Times writer suggested that Tesla could use the boat as a weapon of war, Tesla was quick to correct him. Instead, Tesla envisioned a future where robots and mechanical men would do the laborious work of humanity, a vision that was decades ahead of its time. Tesla was also a visionary when it came to transportation. He designed a hybrid tilt-rotor, tilt-wing helicopter airplane in 1921, which was granted his final patent in 1928. His design featured a tilting propeller and wing that could lift the craft vertically and fly it horizontally, a revolutionary idea that was overlooked by aviation history. In addition to his groundbreaking work in transportation, Tesla also explored the possibilities of harnessing the power of the ocean to create artificial tidal waves that could be used to deter war. He even believed that thoughts could be photographed and projected onto a screen, which would allow every thought of an individual to be read. Tesla's ideas were ahead of his time, and some never came to fruition. But his legacy as a visionary inventor and engineer lives on, inspiring generations of scientists and innovators to come. Now let's hear your thoughts about the genius Nikola Tesla in the comments down below.